I never imagined that one choice, one desperate act, would change the rest of my life. That night, the mansion was silent, but inside me, my heart thundered like a drum. I sat on the nursery floor, holding a baby whose cries pierced through me like knives. Her mother was gone. Her father was lost in grief. And her tiny body was wasting away with every passing day. I begged her to take the feeding bottle, but she refused. Her lips trembled, her fists clenched, and I felt the same helplessness I had felt 3 months. My whole body trembled as Mr. David stepped into the nursery, his eyes sharp as a blade. For a moment, I thought he would strike me down with his stare alone. "Explain yourself," he demanded, his voice low but heavy with anger. My throat tightened. I wanted to fall to my knees, to beg for mercy, but when I looked at his daughter, peacefully suckling, my courage rose. "She refused the feeding bottle," I whispered, tears in my eyes. "They were starving. I couldn't let them die." The silence that followed was unbearable. His jaw clenched, his hands curled into fists, and I thought my life as I knew it was over. Then his gaze dropped to his daughter's calm face, her chest rising steadily against mine. The fury in his eyes faltered, just for a second. I didn't know if I had saved the child, or destroyed myself. Sometimes love demands courage, even when it costs you everything. What would you risk if it meant saving an innocent life? His footsteps echoed as he came closer, and with each step, my heart pounded harder. I had never seen him this way before. His face was like stone, but his eyes were burning with something between rage and disbelief. "You dare," he muttered, his voice shaking, "to put yourself in this place. To feed my daughters as though you were their mother." I swallowed hard. My lips quivered, but I did not pull the babies away. "I lost my son 3 months ago," I whispered. My body still carried milk. "When your daughters cried. I couldn't stand by and do nothing." His jaw tightened. He looked away for a moment, then back at me. I thought I saw his eyes glisten, but if they did, he quickly hid it behind his anger. "You should have asked me," he said, his voice rising again. "You had no right." The twins had fallen asleep by then, their breaths soft and steady against me. I wanted to hold them forever, but fear twisted my insides. Would this man call the police? Would he throw me out into the night? I prayed silently, waiting for his judgment. Truth spoken from the heart is powerful, even when it shakes the ground beneath you. Would you confess your pain, even if it could cost you everything? The room was heavy with silence. I could hear nothing but the slow breathing of the twins and the thundering of my own heart. Mr. David paced, his shoes striking the marble floor, each step a reminder that my fate lay in his hands. "Mercy," he said finally, his voice low but sharp. "Do you know what this looks like? Do you realize what people would say if they found out?" I lowered my eyes. Shame washed over me, but so did a strange strength. "Let them say what they want," I whispered. "I would rather they curse my name than bury these girls beside their mother." His head jerked up. My words hung in the air like a challenge, bold and trembling. I thought he would strike me down with anger, but instead, he froze. His lips parted slightly, then for the first time since Madame Rose's death, my hands twisting the edge of my apron. The twins lay asleep in my arms, their soft breaths the only comfort I had left. Every second felt like an hour. My mind was a battlefield, a fear on one side, hope on the other. Would he fire me? Would he call the police? Or worse, would he take the babies from me forever? The door creaked open. "Enter," he said, his voice calm but edged with steel. I rose slowly, my legs weak beneath me, and stepped inside. His office smelled of leather and old books. He stood by the window, his back straight, his silhouette sharp against the dim light. He didn't look at me at first, only at the night beyond the glass. "You didn't ask," he said finally. "You acted without my permission." I had no choice. His eyes met mine then, piercing through me. And so you chose to give fragile, like glass about to shatter. He stepped closer, his voice low and heavy. Do you realize what you are saying? That you dared to claim a place that was never yours. Tears stung my eyes, but I didn't look away. I didn't mean to claim anything, sir. I only meant to save them. When I saw their faces turning pale, their tiny lips were too weak to cry. I remembered my son. He died in my arms. I couldn't watch it happen again. Something flickered across his face, pain, deep and raw, but it vanished as quickly as it came. He turned, running a hand through his hair. You've complicated everything, Mercy, he muttered. You've made me question myself. I held my breath, clutching the twins tighter. My whole body ached with fear, but deep inside, a voice whispered that maybe he wasn't angry because I had done wrong, but because I had shown him what he had failed to do. The silence stretched, and I wondered, was this the end of me, or the beginning of something I couldn't yet name? True love often challenges pride, forcing hearts to confront hidden wounds. Would you risk exposing someone's weakness if it meant saving a life? The twins stirred faintly in my arms, their soft sighs breaking the tense silence. Mr. David's gaze lingered on them, and I saw his lips press into a thin line. For a fleeting moment, his anger melted into sorrow. When Rose died, he said quietly, almost to himself, I thought I had lost everything. I buried myself in work so I wouldn't have to look at them or face the pain. His voice cracked, but he quickly straightened, his mask of strength returning. I felt my heart twist. He was not only a master of the house, but also a broken man, crushed by grief he refused to show. I failed them, he continued, his tone firmer now. But you stepped in where I could not. You gave them what even I could not bring myself to give. My throat tightened, tears threatening again. I only did what any mother would do, I whispered. His eyes met mine then, dark and unreadable. No, he said slowly. You did more than that. The weight of his words left me shaken. I had stepped into forbidden ground, yet somehow, I had also touched a part of him no one else dared to reach. Sometimes, the deepest strength comes from broken hearts that choose to love again. If love could heal grief, would you be brave enough to offer it? The next morning, the mansion buzzed like a hive. I could feel the stairs, hear the whispers carried on every corridor. She dared to nurse them, one cook murmured. It's disgraceful, another hissed. But there were softer voices too. The babies live because of her, a maid whispered. Maybe she did the right thing. I kept my head down, carrying Lily on my shoulder while Leah nestled in my arms. Their tiny breaths gave me courage, though my heart raced with every step. When I entered the dining hall, silence fell. Mr. David was already seated, his eyes fixed on me. He did not look at the others, only at the twins in my arms. Sit, he said firmly, pointing to the chair beside him. Gasps rippled through the room. I froze, my legs trembling, but obeyed. As I sat, I felt the heat of the staff's eyes on my back, their resentment burning holes into me. From today, he announced, his voice calm but strong, Mercy will not only serve this house. She will care for my daughters. She has earned that place. The room erupted in hushed protests. My breath caught. His words had just changed everything, for them, for him, and most of all, for me. Courageous acts often invite both honor and envy, yet truth cannot be hidden. Would you endure judgment if it meant protecting those who cannot protect themselves? Weeks passed, and the mansion felt different. The walls that once echoed with grief now carried soft laughter, tiny giggles, and coos from the twins. Yet, the staff's whispers never fully disappeared. I felt their suspicion every time I passed, their doubt in every sideways glance. One evening, I was alone with Lily and Leah in the nursery when I heard a soft knock. Mr. David's shadow fell across the doorway. He stepped inside silently, his eyes scanning the babies before landing on me. "They are thriving," he said quietly, that trace of relief in his voice. "Thanks to you." I blinked, unsure how to respond. My voice faltered. "I did what I had to." He walked closer, his gaze lingering on my face. "No," he said firmly. "You gave them more than food. You gave them love. And in doing so, you've changed this house." I swallowed hard. His words should have comforted me, yet fear lingered. Did he truly trust me, or was this another test I might fail? The babies stirred in my arms, their tiny hands reaching for me. And in that fragile moment, I realized. Some bonds cannot be broken, no matter how dark the past. Love given selflessly can transform lives, even amidst doubt and suspicion. Would you risk judgment to show love where it is most needed? One rainy afternoon, whispers turned into outright accusations. One of the senior maids confronted me in the kitchen. "Do you think you can replace her?" she spat, her voice low but venomous. "Do you think you belong here, raising what is not yours?" My hands clenched into fists, but I stayed calm. "I am not trying to replace anyone," I said quietly. "I am only trying to keep them alive." She laughed bitterly. "Alive? You overstep every boundary. People will talk." He might even, or her words trailed off, leaving a chill in the air. I left her there, stepping outside where the rain soaked my uniform. I held the twins tightly, feeling their warmth seep into me, steadying my shaking heart. Somehow, despite the mansion's judgment and gossip, these two tiny lives had become my anchor. Later that evening, Mr. David found me on the veranda, the rain dripping down my hair. He didn't scold or question me. Instead, he simply said, "They see you as their mother, Mercy. I see it too." His words hit me like a tide, washing away the fear, if only slightly. Yet I knew the path ahead would not be easy. Love had made me brave, but it had also made me a target. True courage is often tested by envy and suspicion. Would you protect what is right, even if everyone else doubts you? The days grew longer, filled with quiet tension. The mansion's walls held stories of sorrow, gossip, and suspicion, but in the nursery, a different world existed, one of soft coos, gentle hands, and tiny laughter. Lily and Leah thrived, their cheeks round, their eyes bright. Yet, every time I passed the staff, I felt their eyes, sharp and questioning. Every whisper felt like a blade against my back. I tried to ignore them, focusing on the babies, but doubt crept into my mind. Had I overstepped? Was I truly helping, or had I invited disaster into their lives? One afternoon, Mr. David entered the nursery without knocking. His face was unreadable, but his eyes softened as they lingered on the twins. "They are happy," he said simply, almost to himself. "You've done more than I could ever ask." I felt tears sting my eyes, but I blinked them away. "I only wanted to keep them safe," I whispered. He moved closer, resting a hand gently on my shoulder. "No," he said firmly. "You gave them life when I could not. You gave them love when I was too broken. That mercy is priceless." For a moment, the mansion's whispers faded. Only the soft breathing of the twins and the weight of his words remained. Love can heal wounds no one else dares to touch. Could you step into someone else's grief to save them, even at your own risk? One evening, the mansion felt colder than usual. The wind rattled the windows, and shadows crept across the walls like silent observers. I sat on the nursery floor, rocking Leah, while Lily's tiny fingers clutched my blouse. Their fragile trust weighed heavily on me. A knock came at the door, sharp and deliberate. My heart leapt. Mr. David stepped inside, his face calm but unreadable. He didn't sit. Instead, he stood by the window, looking out over the dark gardens. "They are growing fast," he said quietly, his voice low. "I worry about what others think, about what this house allows." I swallowed hard. "Sir, I know I've overstepped, but if I had waited, they might not have survived." He turned, his eyes searching mine. "I see that now. And yet, there are still people who question you. I cannot control their whispers, but I can protect what matters most." For a long moment, we simply stared, the twins asleep in my arms. The fear I had carried for weeks began to lift, replaced with something unfamiliar, hope. Perhaps he truly understood. Perhaps love had triumphed over judgment. And on that quiet night, I realized. Some risks are worth taking, no matter the cost. Courage and love often face scrutiny, but the right choices shine through. Would you protect the innocent, even if the world judged you harshly? The mansion had begun to feel alive again, but shadows lingered. Staff whispers and sideways glances reminded me that my actions had stirred more than gratitude, they had stirred envy. Every step I took felt measured, every word cautious, yet my heart clung to the tiny lives in my arms. One evening, as I hummed a lullaby to Lily and Leah, Mr. David appeared in the doorway, his hands in his pockets, his face unreadable. "They trust you," he said slowly. "More than anyone else. But trust. It can breed resentment. Be careful." I nodded, my throat tight. I had felt it, the disapproval, the suspicion, even in the ones who smiled politely. Still, I refused to let it sway me. The babies were my anchor, my reason to breathe through grief I had carried too long. He moved closer, resting a hand lightly on the crib. "You've given them life in ways I could not," he admitted softly. "And perhaps, you've given me life too. I see now what I've been missing." For a moment, his vulnerability startled me. Then I realized that in saving the twins, I had also begun to save him and maybe, in some way, even myself. True love heals both the giver and the receiver. Could saving others help you find your own strength? One quiet afternoon, I caught the maid from the West Wing staring at me with thinly veiled suspicion. Her lips pressed into a tight line, and her eyes glimmered with something I could not name, envy, fear, maybe even hatred. I took a deep breath, holding Leah close except with them when they need me. Her eyes flashed, and she left with a scoff, muttering to herself. I closed my eyes, letting the weight of the twins' warmth remind me why I had risked everything. Later, Mr. David found me sitting by the veranda, staring at the sunset. He didn't speak at first. Then he said, "They see you as family. So do I. Let the others whisper, they do not matter." For the first time in months, I felt truly safe. True family is chosen through love, not blood or gossip. Would you let others' judgment dictate who you care for? Night had fallen, and the mansion's halls were quiet, save for the soft coos of the twins in my arms. I sat on the wide veranda, the cool night air brushing my face, trying to calm the racing thoughts in my head. Mr. David stepped out silently, his presence calm but firm. He didn't sit, only leaned against the railing beside me, watching the girls. "You've changed everything," he said softly. "I've hidden behind work for months, thinking it protected them, protected me. But you showed me what I had been missing." I looked down at the babies, their tiny hands curling around my fingers. "I only did what I had to," I whispered. "No," he corrected gently. "You gave them life, warmth, love. You gave me hope." For a moment, we simply stood there, the city lights twinkling beyond the gates. I realized that in saving these girls, I had also begun to heal a man I barely knew, and in turn, I had found a new purpose for my own grieving heart. The night felt less lonely, the mansion less cold, and I understood that love could carve paths through even the deepest shadows. True love has the power to heal broken hearts and rebuild lost hope. Could your compassion restore someone's life as much as your own? Weeks passed, and the mansion slowly transformed. The sound of laughter replaced the echoes of grief. Lily and Leah grew stronger, their cheeks rosy, their tiny hands reaching for me at every moment. Each smile felt like a victory, a reminder that I had done the right thing. Yet, tension still lingered. The staff's whispers never fully disappeared, their eyes following me as I moved through the halls. I felt the weight of suspicion, the sting of envy, but I refused to let it shake me. These twins had become my reason to fight, my reason to breathe. One afternoon, Mr. David found me in the nursery, cradling both girls. He watched quietly for a moment before speaking. "They thrive because of you, Mercy. You've given them more than I could have hoped for. More than I could have given." Tears blurred my vision. "I only did what I had to," I whispered. "No," he said firmly. "You gave them life, warmth, and love when I couldn't. That is something I will never forget." In that moment, I realized that love, even in the darkest times, could conquer fear, silence judgment, and restore life where it had been nearly lost. Acts of love, even in fear and doubt, leave lasting impact. Would you stand firm in love, even if it meant facing hostility? The mansion felt alive in a way it hadn't in months. Tiny giggles, soft coos, and playful cries filled the halls. Lily and Leah had grown plumper, their eyes sparkling with curiosity and trust. Holding them in my arms, I felt a warmth that had been missing from my heart since the loss of my own child. Yet, even amidst the joy, I sensed the lingering tension. Some staff still whispered behind closed doors, their eyes cold and calculating. But the girls' laughter drowned out my fear, reminding me why I had risked everything. One evening, Mr. David entered the nursery quietly. He knelt beside me, resting a hand on the crib. "You've given them life," he said softly. "You've given me hope I didn't think I'd feel again. And in doing so, you've become part of this family." I held my breath, tears threatening to fall. "I never meant to take anyone's place," I whispered. "You didn't," he said, his voice firm yet gentle. "You gave them love when I couldn't. That is something I will always remember." In that moment, I realized that saving the twins had healed more than just their fragile bodies, it had restored broken hearts, mine included. True love and courage can heal wounds deeper than time itself. Could saving others also save yourself in ways you never imagined? The mansion had transformed completely. Where silence once lingered, there was now laughter, soft footsteps, and the gentle hum of contented babies. Lily and Leah clung to me as I walked through the corridors, their tiny hands gripping my fingers. Each giggle, each sigh, felt like proof that love had conquered grief. Mr. David appeared at the doorway, watching us quietly. His usual stiffness was gone, replaced by something warmer, relief, gratitude, and perhaps a hint of admiration. "They are thriving," he said softly. "Thanks to you, Mercy. You've given them life, comfort, and love when I could not." I lowered my gaze, holding the twins closer. "I only did what I had to," I whispered. "No," he said firmly. "You gave them more than life. You gave them hope. You gave me hope. You are family now, in every sense." For the first time since I lost my own child, my heart felt whole. The mansion was no longer just walls and furniture, it was a home, filled with love, a laughter, and second chances. I realized then that courage and compassion could create miracles, even from the darkest despair. Love, courage, and selflessness can restore life, heal grief, and forge family beyond blood. Would you risk everything to give hope and love to those who cannot defend themselves? In the end, love and courage overcame grief, fear, and doubt. Mercy's selfless action saved not only the twins' lives but also healed the hearts of those around her. True family is built through care, sacrifice, and unwavering compassion, not just blood or status. Her bravery reminds us that even in despair, one act of kindness can change lives forever. Selfless love has the power to heal, protect, and transform lives, even in the darkest moments. Would you risk everything to save someone who cannot protect themselves? The end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Hit the notification